The encrypted flash message arrived at carrier strike groups positioned across the Arabian Sea at 0237 hours local time. After weeks of failed diplomacy and escalating threats, the decision had been made. What followed would be the most intensive military operation since the Iraq War, a campaign designed to eliminate Iran's conventional military capability in one overwhelming strike. The buildup had been impossible to hide. Satellite imagery showed two carrier strike groups, USS Gerald R. Ford and USS Abraham Lincoln, converging in the Gulf of Oman, surrounded by protective screens of destroyers and cruisers. Beneath the waves, 4 Ohio-class submarines loaded with Tomahawk cruise missiles slipped into firing positions. At Diego Garcia, 6 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers sat ready, while F-35s and F-22s at bases throughout the Gulf region went to maximum alert. The concentration of American military power was staggering. Over 150 combat aircraft, 60 warships, and firepower capable of delivering 2,000 precision strikes within hours. At 0300 hours, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jets launched from the Ford, their jamming pods flooding Iranian radar frequencies with overwhelming interference. Across Iran, air defense operators watched their screens dissolve into chaos. Simultaneously, American cyber operations struck Iranian military networks, corrupting databases and severing communications between command centers and frontline units. The electromagnetic battlefield had been seized before the first missile flew. 12 F-22 Raptors crossed into Iranian airspace at 48,000 feet, invisible to degraded Iranian radar systems. Their mission was critical: destroy the Russian-made S-300 air defense batteries protecting military installations. From extreme range, the Raptors released GPS-guided bombs that glided 40 miles to their targets. Within minutes, 16 S-300 installations around Tehran, Isfahan, and Shiraz erupted in synchronized explosions. Iranian crews never detected the aircraft that killed them. The cruise missile barrage began immediately after. Tomahawks erupted from vertical launch cells aboard destroyers and submarines. Over 300 missiles within 4 minutes, each programmed for specific military targets across Iran's vast territory. They flew low over water, then hugged terrain, racing toward Revolutionary Guard command bunkers, army bases, naval facilities, Air Force installations, and weapons depots. The missiles converged from multiple directions, overwhelming any remaining defensive capability through sheer volume and precision timing. At Bandar Abbas Naval Base, cruise missiles struck ammunition bunkers and fuel storage facilities. Secondary explosions rippled across the complex as Iranian warships attempted to flee their moorings. Near Kermanshah, the 81st Armored Division headquarters erupted in flames as bunker-busting warheads penetrated command centers. Revolutionary Guard bases from Tehran to Qom absorbed devastating strikes, their barracks and vehicle depots transformed into infernos. 20 minutes into the operation, B-2 Spirit bombers released their payloads over underground command facilities. Each aircraft carried 16 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, 30,000-pound bunker busters designed to destroy deeply buried installations. The weapons fell for 90 seconds, accelerating past the speed of sound before penetrating through granite mountain and reinforced concrete. Deep underground, military command centers collapsed as delayed fuses detonated in precisely timed sequences. Seismographs across the region registered the impacts as minor earthquakes. B-1B Lancers followed in 4 ship formations, each loaded with 84 precision-guided bombs. Their mission was Iran's conventional military infrastructure, tank battalions, artillery regiments, and airfield complexes housing fighter squadrons. Using real-time intelligence from reconnaissance aircraft, the Lancers struck armor concentrations across western Iran, attempting to destroy Iran's ground forces before they could mobilize. At Mehrabad and Tabriz air bases, fighter aircraft sat vulnerable in hardened shelters. American munitions struck the reinforced doors, then penetrated inside, where F-4 Phantoms, F-14 Tomcats, and MiG-29 Fulcrums exploded. Maintenance facilities and fuel farms burned intensely. Iran's air force was being systematically dismantled on the ground. But Iranian commanders had anticipated this scenario. Mobile air defense units that survived the initial strikes activated from concealed positions. Within 18 minutes, Iranian forces achieved limited response capability. Tor M1 and Panzer systems engaged American aircraft conducting battle damage assessment. An F-35 conducting reconnaissance over Isfahan flew within range of a concealed Tor M1. The system activated briefly, achieving lock and launching missiles. The F-35 pilot executed evasive maneuvers while dispensing countermeasures. One missile was decoyed, but the second detonated close enough to damage the aircraft's wing. The pilot managed an emergency landing, becoming the first American aircraft loss. The Strait of Hormuz erupted into chaos. Revolutionary Guard naval forces launched swarms of fast attack boats from dozens of concealed positions along Iran's coastline. Each boat carried anti-ship missiles, employing tactics designed to overwhelm American defenses through numbers. The USS Momsen detected the swarm at 12 miles and engaged with gun systems, destroying several boats. But others closed to missile range. A Nasser-1 cruise missile launched toward the destroyer, which successfully deflected it using decoys and evasive maneuvers. Beneath the waves, 4 Kilo-class submarines and Ghadir midget submarines attempted torpedo attacks. ASW helicopters deployed sonobuoys across vast areas, hunting submarine signatures. An MH-60R detected a Kilo approaching the Lincoln Strike Group and dropped a Mark 54 torpedo that sent the Iranian submarine to the bottom. 2 Ghadir submarines fired torpedoes that were defeated by American countermeasures. As dawn broke, the devastation became visible. Smoke columns rose from dozens of military installations. Revolutionary Guard command centers lay buried under rubble. Army bases burned uncontrollably. Air defense networks were shattered, with 80% of radar installations destroyed. Iran's air force had been reduced by an estimated 70%. Naval capabilities were crippled, with major vessels sunk or severely damaged at their moorings. Yet Iran's asymmetric response was just beginning. Across Iraq, militia groups launched coordinated rocket attacks against American military positions. Baghdad's Green Zone endured sustained bombardment. Erbil Air Base absorbed ballistic missile strikes, killing 3 Americans and wounding 17. The conflict threatened to expand beyond Iran's borders. The cyber dimension escalated dramatically. Iranian hackers launched coordinated attacks against American infrastructure. Power grids in Texas and California experienced disruptions. Financial institutions detected intrusion attempts. The digital battlefield mirrored the physical one. Global markets reacted with panic. Oil prices spiked to $215 per barrel as the Strait of Hormuz became a war zone where commercial tankers refused to venture. Stock markets worldwide plunged. The Dow fell 2,400 points. The global economy faced potential recession. By 72 hours, over 800 American aircraft had flown combat missions. More than 2,000 precision weapons had struck Iranian military targets. Iranian military casualties exceeded 3,000 killed. American losses stood at 23 killed and 67 wounded. 2 aircraft were lost. China and Russia responded with alarm. Beijing condemned American action and called emergency UN Security Council sessions. Russia provided real-time intelligence to Iran through satellite imagery, helping Iranian forces relocate surviving mobile assets. Moscow used the crisis to position itself as an indispensable power broker. By day 5, American forces had achieved air dominance and severely degraded Iranian conventional military capabilities. Iran's ability to project power regionally had been fundamentally compromised, yet the strategic questions remained unanswered. What comes after military victory? International pressure for ceasefire intensified. The UN Secretary-General issued desperate appeals. Diplomatic back-channels became crucial. Oman and Switzerland facilitated indirect communications. A possible framework emerged: immediate ceasefire, American commitment to no further strikes, Iranian agreement to military restructuring, phased sanctions relief, and regional security dialogue. After 9 days, a fragile ceasefire took hold. The agreement was limited and viewed suspiciously by both parties. American carriers remained on station. Iranian forces stayed at high alert. The conflict had paused, not ended. If such a scenario actually unfolded, the aftermath would reshape the Middle East fundamentally. Iran, its military infrastructure shattered, would face a security vacuum. The Revolutionary Guard's conventional capabilities would require years to rebuild. Yet history suggests that military defeat doesn't necessarily translate to political change or regional stability. The regional power balance would shift dramatically. Saudi Arabia and UAE, observing Iran's conventional military elimination, might become emboldened to assert regional influence more aggressively. Turkey could expand its military presence southward. Israel would reassess its security posture, potentially reducing its massive defense investments or redirecting them toward other threats. Iraq would face immediate destabilization. Iranian military support that had propped up various Iraqi militias would evaporate. The resulting power vacuum could reignite sectarian violence or embolden ISIS remnants. Iraq's government, closely tied to Iran, would struggle to maintain authority without Iranian backing. The Gulf monarchies would confront a paradox: their primary military threat eliminated, but at the cost of regional instability. They would need to fill the power vacuum themselves, requiring massive increases in military capability and potentially pursuing independent nuclear deterrence. Most significantly, the operation would set a precedent that conventional military forces, regardless of size, cannot deter a determined superpower. Every regional actor would draw conclusions about the necessity of asymmetric capabilities, proxy forces, and ultimately nuclear weapons as the only reliable deterrent. The Middle East would become more militarized, not less. America itself would face strategic questions. The immediate military success would give way to difficult realities: ongoing presence requirements, costs of maintaining regional stability, and the question of whether destroying military capability actually enhances security or simply creates different threats. This scenario reveals a fundamental challenge. Military capability can be destroyed, but the political, sectarian, and ideological forces that drive regional conflict cannot be bombed away. Real security requires not just the ability to eliminate threats, but the wisdom to build systems where such threats become unnecessary. Through diplomatic engagement, economic interdependence, and recognition that lasting stability requires regional cooperation, not unilateral dominance.